Hello and welcome to another episode of Christine's Coloring and Crafts. I'm Christine and I'm so glad you could join me today on my video. Today's video will be crafts. Normally I do coloring videos and stuff related to that. But my other paintbrush here. We're going to focus a little bit on crafts today. Because I am making some things for Christmas for my friends and family. So this is a great way to show how you love your friends and family and still be able to stay within a reasonable budget. This year's kind of a really lean Christmas. Excuse me, just because I've been off of work. And I come up with this really great idea. I got a bunch of, I've got a bunch left still. A bunch of wooden discs that really, if you take the little eyelet out and punched a hole in the middle, they would actually make great toys for birds because it is bird-safe wood. And I didn't think about that, but and especially with the bark on it. Now to find the hole. Wherever that may have gone. I think this is it. Maybe? I don't know. We'll find the hole on it. There it is. And yes, these little eyelets come out. The little wooden discs aren't that expensive. I'll put a link to everything in the description after I've got the video uploaded and everything. If you guys are interested in doing something like this for like maybe birthdays or Christmas or whatever. It's really simple paintings on these. The white is my Liquitex acrylic gouache. I always want to say gouache. My Liquitex titanium white gouache. And it does put on a really nice thick, I put on 2 layers and it's really nice and thick. This side probably could use another layer, but it doesn't have to because we're going to put some other colors on it. And the type of paint I'm using is acrylic paint from Shuttle Art. It's metallic, and it is, I don't know if you could see the sparkles in the water or not as I have been painting, but it is very metallic-y. It is good paint when it comes to that. The only complaint I have about this Shuttle Art paint is this one hasn't been opened yet, and this is the green apple, is these lids. These things are almost impossible to get off without coloring yourself. I just did the silver. And so what I do too is I end up, when I use one, I end up putting these away, the actual bottles. And instead of constantly washing one of these out, which you could see I've been using my gouache in, and it needs to be washed out. And I had been using the acrylic paints themselves in there, but I was really getting kind of tired of washing it out every night and trying to keep things, reasonably neat and orderly. And I remembered I'd gotten these a long time ago. I don't even know how long ago, off of Amazon, for something else. I ended up not using them for that. I think it was for mixing the other acrylic colors, because I do have these 3 things, and I think the paint's actually dried up. Yeah, but a little bit of water in it, and it should be fine. It's basically, I was mixing some acrylic paints in an experimental manner to make some skin tones. But as you can see, I've got these other colors here, and I figured these, that is kind of disappointing that it dried up. But you should be able to re-wet it. I don't know. We'll try that on another video. This video is going to be all about the painting of these. And I had been using these 5 colors and the orange on the Christmas presents I was making. So I figured with these 4, I'd get them started. And yes, even though these are cheap, they're inexpensive, these things come right back out. Like super easy. There are cracks in the wood from them, punching them in. But it's nothing that a little bit of Gorilla Glue can't fix. So you pull that back out, put a dab of Gorilla Glue in, and then, you know, put your little eyelet back in, and it's good to go. And so I figured with these 4, because I figured I'd just go ahead and paint them all, because it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. But since I've done the traditional colors, the gold, red, blue, green, and some purple, and the orange was just recently added to the ornaments I was making for the Christmas presents. Now these are all mixed colors. So once they're gone, they're gone. I didn't keep track of how much I mixed into them. I just kind of mixed a couple of the metallic colors together. Like this is gold and golden champagne, and this is a reddish brown with red, and this is 2 different blues, and this is a darker blue with a green, and this is a purple and a purple blue together, and the orange is not mixed with anything. And you can see I still have 5 of these left. 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can count. Don't worry. Sometimes I can count. 6 left to make, you know, custom mixes or whatever, what have you. So anyway, I also got these off of Amazon. They're cheap brushes. They're not very expensive. Ross Max Artwork for Artists, and this is a #1 flat. I don't know what size, you know, how the sizing is for these brushes, or if anything's a standard. But what I do is I just go ahead and take a little bit of the pink here. We'll start with that one. And yes, you will get painted. So if you don't like getting messy, please don't try this at home. I know I was about 6 or 7 or 8 different colors after I got done with the round of all of the ones I was painting for Christmas presents. And there's no reason to be like super neat on it. It's all about creativity. And I'm sorry if there is a glare on this. The metallic is really metallic. I mean, it is glittery. But we just put a little, I just do thin layers. So some of the white will show through as it dries, and you just do another layer. And I like doing it that way. It just creates, from the experimenting I've been doing, it creates a smoother surface, even though there's some obvious bumps in this wood, but that's okay. That's just part of the charm. And you try not to touch things, but you touch things. Like it or not, you end up touching things. Put a little bit more paint in here. And just all around. Kind of smooth it out a little bit. And don't worry if there's a little bit of white. You'll get that on the next round. And then I just take my water. And for this particular flat brush, because it likes to hold on to paint, I really got to smush it around. Let me close up my pink paint. There's still a little bit of white paint on this from... And I washed this for like a good 5 minutes or so last night, and I was still coming up with a little bit of white paint. I just think it just soaks up the paint in between where the bristles go and into the metal. I mean, you can see it there. These are supposed to be black bristles, and you can see the white down there. And I never could get it out, but that's okay. And then I just take a little brush and kind of dab it. Yeah, I'm not like trying to make these to sell or anything, so I don't care, you know, if there's a little bit of oopsie daisies in it. It just adds to the charm anyway. And then we're going to use silver, which that color is actually not pink. It's called Plum Purple by Shuttle Art. And the silver might take a few layers, or it might surprise us. I'm not sure. I know it's a super light color, so we might need a couple extra layers to cover up all that white with the silver. Like, I could still see clear through it. Yeah, I think it's going to take a couple layers. Oddly enough, even though it's a darker color, the gold mixed with the gold champagne still took several layers. Okay, there's one. And then we're going to dip in here. going to try to get as much of it back off of the paintbrush as possible. But, you know, it's acrylic paint. It is what it is going to do. Well, I probably put a little too much on there. That's okay. We can still smooth it out a little bit. By smoothing out, I mean like removing all of the line work. And if you get these little discs, wooden discs, don't try to hold them by just the eyelet when you pick it up. I mean, like this is okay, but when you're picking it up, the eyelets may fall out, and you do not want that to be on the floor and get a bunch of dirt and stuff in it. There we go. Actually, that thicker layer looks really, really good. And I'm going to close this up. And then there's going to be 2 ornaments that I'm going to work on here that will go on my tree, because they were my first 2 ornaments. And I feel like I really messed them up, and they don't need to go to anybody for Christmas. They could just go on my tree. They're not ugly per se. They're just not adorable either. Not in my book. Okay, let's dry this off here. And we'll put that to the side, because we're going to now use this brush. And see what I mean by they're just cheap brushes off of Amazon. This one was coming apart at the wood and the metal. This is a round, and it says 0 on it. And I do love using it. That's why I bothered to tape it up. We're going to put those guys a little bit farther back here so I don't accidentally touch them. And as you can see, my little mat's got paint all over it. That's okay. But anyway, these were the first 2 I did. And although I generally like them, I just don't find them Christmas gift worthy. And then this stuff is really, really difficult to squeeze out. So what I do is I just try to get a drop out using both hands. Find the hole. And then just kind of smush it on there. I think I'm going to need a little bit more. There we go. And be careful not to get this on your fingers, because Gorilla Glue, that stuff actually does work. And then I push it in, and I just hold it still for a little bit. Like this one, I like how the stripes came out, but this one, it came out kind of funny. So I was like, oh well, we'll just put them on my tree, no big deal. And I just hold it for a little bit, and then I'm going to put it down. Give me another drop. And try not to squeeze any out onto my mat. Which is, I mean, look at that crack. That crack's terrible. That one's got a really big crack. That's another reason why I don't want to give this one out. There we go. And both sides are painted, by the way. And I don't even know if the glue is going to be able to hold this in. I hope so. There we go. That was my only complaint about these rounds, is that several of them had the crack in the wood, and hardly any of the eyelets stick at all. And I just hold on to it for a good 10 seconds or so. Look at all the bark I've gotten on this. I need to get that off of there. So we'll just go ahead and take my little rag. I've got like a few old rags that I use for painting and such. There we go. And then we'll put that back. I'm going to take another drink here. And then I'm going to turn these over, because I believe they do need another layer. And I did put my name and my initials in the year on here. But see, I just do not like how that one came out at all. Yeah, and I think I am going to go ahead and put, I mean, this one doesn't really need another layer. So we'll put this one aside. But this one, I think I'm definitely going to put another layer on. Mostly just to show you guys what I was doing. And this green is about out. Now, there were other ones that I put little squigglies on too. But the line is much thinner. I don't know why I thought going with a thicker line would be better. And if you got a bunch of paint on parts of your brush that you don't want that to be on, that's another reason I like these little, I'm going to, for lack of a better term, call them pans. These little pans have. Because then you could just wipe it right off. It goes right back into that little pan or dish. And you're not wasting a lot. Not that these are expensive paints or anything. I mean, it is shuttle art. It's not super expensive. It's just cute paint. And the nice thing with leaving some on the ring is then you could just dip the tip in there to do what I'm going to do here. And that's kind of like brighten up my signature in the ear a little bit. Or my initials, I should say. And this is just case of the future because, you know, Alzheimer's and dementia are real things. And I'm hoping that should I get something like that in the future, that seeing the year and my initials will like waken something inside of me. It doesn't even have to look good. It just has to look like something I would have done. And honestly, these two ornaments, it doesn't look good. That's okay. I'm not complaining. Hopefully by now the glue's dry too. There we go. So we can string up that other ornament. There is two different kinds of string. A red and a white string, which I think I can actually reach as I'm looking at it over here. Hold on. There's a red and a white string. We'll put this up so we don't get paint on the string for the ornaments. And from my toy making experience, making toys for birds using various different strings, which this would not be one of them. This is not a bird safe string. But because of that experience, I learned the easiest way when you don't have, you know, sewing needles or threading needles is just to use a little bit of masking tape to make a little point. We're not going to use this string though. This is for the other ornaments. Let me get my scissors out because I do need to cut a whole new piece of string off. Here we go. I'm believing this to be some type of jute string. And then here's my masking tape. And you don't need a very big piece. I mean, this is really small string. You just take the end and twist it around. You got to kind of make it tight because these eyelets are small. Okay. Hopefully that's in there. It feels in there. We're going to find out. At least now that the paint's dry, if it drops to the ground, I'm not going to cry about it. It won't get ruined because apparently I had glue on my fingers because of the wet paint. And I personally don't like to make the loops really, really big when you're hanging ornaments on trees. I mean, a good size is acceptable, I think. There we go. Nothing too huge. And then you tie up at the top here. And then we're going to turn it and tighten it that way. So then it's nice and tight. It's got a pretty decent loop on it. And then we're going to cut that string right off. Put that over there. I'm going to cut this end off a little bit. There we go. And trust me, they give you plenty of string. So if you waste a little, it's not a big deal. But there we have it. A nice little ornament. And like I said, these are not the prettiest little ornaments. But they're going to go on my tree. And they're going to be cute because I made them. Yay! All right, so let's get these guys out. They should be ready for their second round of color. And here's my pinks. And then I just kind of make sure, because like I said, these are fairly cheap brushes. And even if it's just a teeny bit wet, it's not a big deal, because you're just putting like a second layer on and you're not going to ruin anything if it's just a teeny bit wet still. And the second layer just, it looks so much prettier when you get it on there. It just really covers that white. That white is more or less like just a base coat, I guess. Something to put your actual color on. And what I do when I do the white is, after I finish the white, look, I'm pink. After I finish the white, I let that dry overnight. I mean, I'm pretty sure it dries really quickly. It is gouache. But just to be extra safe, I let it dry overnight. Ta-da! The white side, the pink side. The white side, the pink side. Let's do our other one. And we'll get that a little bit more towards the top, since we got a lot of white showing there. Now this one I might put either little stars on it or little dots to kind of go with that raised surface. And both of them I'll make look exactly alike. And if you guys like this, which hopefully you do, let me know. And we will finish these on video. There's that one. And of course, be careful with that little eyelet, because you haven't glued them in yet. Or I haven't glued them in yet. Get the pink off here. This is kind of annoying. I am thinking about getting better flat brushes. Just because this is kind of annoying. Man, I wish I could put a lid on that water, because the amount of glitter in that water right now is just phenomenal. Now, here's my silver ones. Now, they look good in the light, like you don't see any white. But when I take them out of the light, like when they're up underneath the desk, I can see a lot of white. But that'll change. Even if you have to put on 3 or 4 layers, it's no big deal. And it looks really, really good too, I think. This is starting to look a lot better. I can really see the silver now. And I think the silver ornaments are going to be really pretty. The gold ones are really pretty. I might have picked up too much paint for the smaller one. Oops. That's okay. We'll smush it around. Might be enough left over that I might just go ahead and try to get as much off into the rim as possible. There we go. Yeah, now that they're in the dark, I'm seeing a lot more silver and a lot less white, but they will need a 3rd layer. And just like that. And then clean it off. And I'll show a couple of the finished products. It'll take a minute because I don't want to share ones that I know people are who watch my channel, certain family members who watch my channel. I want them to see theirs. It's the only bad thing about doing videos about this stuff. And of course I'm going to do all the rounds eventually. Just right now with work and stuff. But let's see here. Where are the... Oh, okay, I haven't been able to string up the gold ones yet because they need to dry. But here is... Hold on, let me find... There we go. Do this one and this one. So this is purple and gold. And it's strung up on what I call the jute string. And this one's a little bit smaller of a hole, which is fine. And this one I made for my best friend James. It's got his initial on the back. And a Christmas tree on the other side. And that was a combination of the metallic paints and regular acrylic paint. And I just left the white background so it kind of looks snowy. And then here's where I incorporated the orange. And made kind of like a little sunburst. Orange on blue, because I thought orange and blue looks really pretty together. And that's that. And hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Like I said, once the video is uploaded and I edit the description, I will put in links to everything, including the paints. And I'll try to find the paint brushes, because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty darn sure I got these on Amazon. And if I find these, I'll put a link to those too. Might buy some more too. Eventually. Not this year. I'm done spending money this year on Amazon. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today and watching my channel. Please like and subscribe. Questions, comments, suggestions below. And everybody have a colorific rest of your night. Thanks. Bye.